Greetings, entertainment enthusiasts everywhere. We have an amazing show for you all today with Holly Barnhart giving her top 5 fall films for college students, Angelo Auriemma with a review of new fall pilots, and a whole lot more.
So grab your pumpkin spice lattes and pull out the sweatshirts, because from Ball State University, the real deal starts now.
Hello and welcome to The Real Deal, Ball State's one and only entertainment news show. I'm Aiden Hall.
And I'm Sunnie Clark. Ladies and gentlemen, fall is upon us, and while the leaves are falling and Uggs make their way back into the wild, the Hollywood machine continues to heat up as it always does.
Here with some Hollywood headlines is our very own Max. What's the scoop, Max?
Hotel Transylvania 2 drew blood at the box office this past weekend, earning an estimated $47.5 million and setting the new record for the biggest September opening of all time. The sequel to Genndy Tartakovsky's animated Dracula adventure shattered the $42.5 million record set by the first one in 2012. And Hotel Transylvania 2, starring Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, and Selena Gomez, earned an A- cinema score. Not only did Hotel Transylvania 2 earn the biggest ever September opening, but it's also Sony Animation's biggest opening of all time, and the biggest opening Sony has had all year. When final numbers come in, Hotel Transylvania 2 could also end up as the biggest Sandler opening of all time, as it's only about $100,000 away from his current record holder, The Longest Yard, which opened to $47.6 million in 2005. The Intern, starring Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway, also made a solid debut, earning an estimated $18.2 million. Director Nancy Meyers' first film since 2009 also snagged an A- cinema score, coming in second place. Taylor Swift continues her streak of guest stars on her 1989 World Tour in Nashville, Tennessee this past week. After surprising fans with an onstage cameo from Steven Tyler during the first of her new 2 Nashville concerts, Taylor Swift welcomed another rock legend to the stage on Saturday night. Mick Jagger joined Swift in front of the crowd at the Bridgestone Arena, where the two did a duet of the Rolling Stones' hit Satisfaction. Jagger wasn't the only guest Swift added to her 1989 World Tour roster on Saturday night. She also brought Leona Lewis out on stage to perform the singer's hit Bleeding Love. Swift has been known for inviting guest performers to most of her shows. Just recently, Swift had the band Perry come and sing their hit When I Die Young on her tour stop in Indianapolis. Some of her other guest choices have been big names such as Justin Timberlake, Wiz Khalifa, and best friend Selena Gomez. Swift's tour heads next to St. Louis. Who's the Boss? Child star Danny Pintora opened up about his personal life this week, revealing to Oprah Winfrey that he is HIV positive and has been for the past decade. While appearing on Saturday night's episode of Oprah, Where Are They Now?, the actor said, quote, "I'm HIV positive and I have been for 12 years. Pintora was diagnosed in March 2003 while living in New York and has been keeping it a secret from the public. On the show, Pintora went into details, remembering the process and how he felt after being diagnosed. Explaining why he decided to go public now, Pintora said, quote, "It's just a big deal. It's not something that people are talking about right now, really." Pintora came out as gay in 1997 and played the young son of Judith Light, Jonathan, on the 80s sitcom. He tweeted about the episode before it aired Saturday, calling it, quote, "life-changing," and posted a photo of himself with his husband on Instagram afterwards, calling himself an activist. This has been Max Lewis with your Hollywood headlines.
Thank you, Max. Seems like I'm just about the only person Taylor Swift hasn't called on stage at this point, and I personally think I'd be a spectacular guest for all the Swifties of the world.
Sure. Anyways, now that fall is here and college students pack into their universities, some may be searching for a film to reflect their experiences or even teach them a lesson.
Holly Barnhart is here to give you the top 5 autumn movies for college students. Holly?
It's officially the fall season, a time of change and new beginnings. For many freshmen, including myself, the beginning of fall means coming to a new school to learn more about ourselves and experiment in our newfound independence. For upperclassmen, fall means coming back to see friends and share even more amazing experiences with those they love. Therefore, here are my top 5 autumn movies that all college students should enjoy. Number 5, Rushmore. Set in the fall semester of his freshman year of high school, Max Fisher, played by Jason Schwartzman, gives us a prime example of putting a bit too much on his plate. Max becomes so involved with every extracurricular on campus that he forgets to show up to class. He eventually gets put on academic probation, and also falls in love with a teacher, so that's good, I guess. What makes this movie so intrinsic to the fall, however, is its ability to relate to all fresh-faced freshmen who can get a little too anxious to the opportunities a new school environment can bring. Prioritize, people. Number 4, St. Elmo's Fire. While most of us are still in college, there is the reality that we will eventually leave this campus and go to do great things with our lives. That's what this 1985 movie demonstrates, as 7 college friends struggle with relationships and independence as fresh graduates. And includes many famous members of the Rat Pack, such as Judd Nelson, Demi Moore, Emilio Estevez, Ali Sheedy, and even Rob Lowe. This 1980s classic is sure to get you thinking about your future. Number 3 is Rudy. What screams fall more than football, am I right? This emotional true story is about a poor boy from Indiana who dreams of one day playing football for the University of Notre Dame. It's a story about heart and never giving up on what you want. Even if you are a sports fan, you will fall in love with Rudy Rudiger, played by the one and only Sean Astin, as he overcomes the naysayers and lives his biggest dream. Number 2, Good Will Hunting. Nothing looks more like what fall weather should look like than this movie set in South Boston. Good Will Hunting is a movie that's all about finding our potential and striving to be the best person we can be. Will Hunting, played by Matt Damon, is unaware of his mathematical genius and fears parting from his childhood home to pursue incredible knowledge. It is only through an empathetic therapist portrayed by Robin Williams that he discovers that he can be more than he ever imagined. This is a life lesson not just for college students, but for all people who need help discovering their untapped potential. And finally, number 1, Dead Poets Society. It seems only fair that 2 Robin Williams' movies top this list. Fall represents hope and looking for the answers in life, all of which Robin and this movie represents as well. Dead Poets Society is all about breaking the status quo and not simply following others' expectations. Carpe Diem is this film's anthem, and as new English professor John Keating inspires his students to take advantage of their life and use it in the pursuit of knowledge, not just in poetry, but in themselves. This coming-of-age, self-discovery flick is awe-inspiring and a must-see for everyone young and old. There you have it, my top 5 favorite films of fall. Enjoy the rest of your fall semester, Ball State.
Thank you, Holly. Sounds like a wide variety of college students of all kinds could find something of value in these films.
And judging by the rest of the episode, I think that almost anyone would be able to find something of value after this commercial break. We've got Angelo Auriemma with a review of recent fall TV pilots, Desiree Williams with a rant, and more. How about them apples? Or should I say pumpkins?
We'll be right back.
No. You said to me, this is a family secret, and you gave it up to me, boom. Just like that. You spilled the secret family recipe today. Maybe you...
Everest is another beast altogether.
How you doing? I'm back.
Doug Hansen.
What do you do when you're not climbing, Doug?
I deliver the mail.
First mailman on Everest?
Hope so.
I like that.
The world outside's hanging on by a very thin thread. It's only a matter of time before the flare virus wipes the rest of us out. This entire facility is designed to keep you safe.
Where are they taking her?
So you're on Facebook, huh?
I joined about 10 minutes ago.
Well, better late than never. All right, so there are all these questions for your profile that you can answer if you want to, like people who inspire you.
Jules Austin. You do inspire, Jules.
Ever since Johnny and Mavis had their little monster, I've been the happiest vampire in the world!
Are we sure he's a vampire?
Technically, you have until you're 5 to get your vampire fangs.
Oh, he'll get his fangs. He's just like me. Look at him!
Blah, blah, blah.
Welcome back. As the weather gets cooler, TV is heating up with the new and returning shows.
Absolutely. Here with 2 new pilots this season is our very own Angelo Auriemma. What's the word, Angelo?
At long last, summer is gone, which means we can get back to doing what we do best, watching TV. Now, while this year's lineup of new shows is a strong one, two pilots specifically stand out amongst the bunch. That would be Limitless and The Muppets. While the two don't seem to have very much in common with one another, their respective franchises each have a successful movie adaptation within the last few years, leaving viewers with high expectations and the shows with a lot to live up to. Thankfully, one actually does, and the same cannot be said for both, however. Starting with Limitless, the plot is again going off of the idea that we only use 10% of what our brains are capable of, and this special pill holds the ability to unlock the rest. The basic plot, much like its preceding movie, is really interesting, but the show doesn't really sway from that. It relies too heavily on what came before instead of treading new ground. While one could defend with the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, this really is the biggest turn-off point of what otherwise is a really great show. Its retouching of themes from the film seem like a slap in the face to the audience who have, for the most part, been down that road before. Despite this, though, performances are strong throughout, with Jake McDormand from Greek and American Sniper at the helm, and Dexter's Jennifer Carpenter in support. Given Bradley Cooper's popularity and support for this franchise, if it can branch off and be its own beast and find originality, it may find itself with a cult following down the line. And if you enjoyed the first movie or just want a smarter crime drama than most, I would recommend giving Limitless a try. Now here comes the kicker, The Muppets. While the Muppets have been household names for decades, their recent films brought them back to cultural relevance. And this show is clearly riding the movie's tail feathers by, well, doing everything a lot differently than the movies did and what anyone's done in the last few decades to make the Muppets likable. It's a weird line to draw given that Limitless's biggest disappointment is its lack of originality, but the Muppets find themselves too different now. The plot revolves around Kermit and Miss Piggy's breakup, and the Muppets are portrayed as realistic people with adult problems and a love for innuendos. The laughs are there to find if you look hard enough, but what one is more likely to find is an awkward experience. Frankly, given my childish love for the Muppets as characters, I'm going to stick around and give it a couple more tries, but unless you have a nostalgic attachment, I wouldn't recommend giving it a watch. Stick to the Jason Segel movies and save yourself the disappointment, because if I had to guess, I would say the Muppets is going to burn out faster than Kermit and Miss Piggy's relationship. Nonetheless, these two shows are not alone. There's plenty to watch now that TV is back, and given the start, I would say we're in for an interesting fall 2015.
Thanks, Angelo. With two such diverse shows premiering this fall, it's obvious we're going to have an eclectic season of television.
I can agree with that. One show returning this year is Grey's Anatomy, and as always is causing strong feelings in its fans. Desiree Williams has her take in this week's rant. What's bothering you, Desiree?
Season 12 of Grey's Anatomy premiered last Thursday, and fans are going crazy. I've heard people say they loved the episode and can't wait for the rest of the season, while others said it was relatively boring for a season premiere. I agree with the second opinion. Grey's is famous for its intense surgical scenes and passionate dialogue between characters, all of which was lacking in the premiere. There were only 2 scenes in the operating room, and there was only 1 patient in a dire situation. Usually, each doctor has a patient to focus on, so we get to watch each story unfold. That's one of the more fun things about the show. You get invested in the patient's story, which makes the surgery scenes that much more suspenseful. But this episode didn't have that. Also, the doctors talked to the patients more in this episode instead of talking to each other. And when they did talk to each other, the dialogue was comedic, not dramatic. With that being said, I knew this season was supposed to have a lighter feel to it because creator Shonda Rhimes addressed that in multiple interviews. Yet, it is season 12, so the show has used the last 11 years to create a reputation of being intense and romantic, and this episode didn't have that same feel. That may be because Meredith and Derek's romantic relationship ended after last season when Rhimes killed off Derek's character, also known as McDreamy. And that's another problem. Derek wasn't even mentioned in the entire episode. I get that there was a time jump between this season and last, but 11 years of the show was devoted to his character and Meredith's relationship. So he dies and just isn't mentioned again? Not only were they involved, but they finally got married and had kids. Yet the kids weren't shown or mentioned in the episode either. Their relationship can't be the focus anymore, but Rhimes built the show around their relationship for so long, and I think it deserved more recognition than that. Now, if their relationship isn't the focus, Meredith Grey still has to be. I mean, the show is named after her. But she barely had any lines in the premiere. In past seasons, she speaks for at least half of the episode and uses voiceovers to narrate certain parts. In this episode, Meredith seemed like a background character. She was not an integral part of the whole, which will hopefully change in the coming episodes. Another staple for Grey's Anatomy is the excellent music choices. If you look at social media after an episode, you will see so much about people crying, happy or sad tears, because of the soundtrack. Rhymes has a knack for pulling at your heartstrings, and she's a genius at picking music that will do it. The soundtrack for the premiere fell short, though. She chose covers of popular songs like Iggy Azalea's Fancy, which is great. But the cover sounded like karaoke music, so the music distracted from the scene rather than adding emotion to it. Overall, nothing big happened to set up a storyline, other than Dr. Bailey becoming chief. After watching the premiere, I'm left with a lot of questions of where the season will go, and I hope next week's episode will feel more like the old Grey's Anatomy.
Thank you, Desiree. Gotta be honest, all these character deaths make this show seem like Westeros General Hospital.
Couldn't agree more. I'm a McDreamy man myself, so that death hit home far worse than you can imagine.
Right. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As many of you know, it's fall TV season, which means the return of all of your favorite shows and familiar faces.
Indeed, many of these actors endear themselves to us with every second they're on screen. Here to tell us about one such performer is Evan Bell with an entertainment spotlight. Evan?
Last week on ABC, Scandal premiered for its 5th season. The drama continues this season when Olivia Pope and President Grant move closer to becoming a public spectacle. However, as fun and intriguing as this show is, none of it would be possible without a great performer leading the show. Actress Kerry Washington, the woman behind the lead character Olivia Pope, has worked with the show since 2012 and has been nominated for 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series and a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Television Series. She began her career as a character actress in films such as Ray and Mr. and Mrs. Smith before graduating to the leading roles she inhabits today. Her style is one that's very vulnerable and emotional, but she still has the capacity to be razor sharp and in charge of any given situation. In April of last year, the actress was added to the Time magazine's list of 100 most influential people. In addition to these accolades, Washington has made the show Scandal one of the most talked about drama series ever, according to BuzzFeed. By being a lead actress on the show, she has raised racial questions about television, as Washington is the first African-American actress to lead an American network drama series since 1974. Aside from television and film, Washington is a strong activist for violence against women and girls, voter apathy, LGBTQ equality, and women's cancer programs. She spoke at the Democratic National Convention in September of 2012 in favor of re-electing President Barack Obama, along with a speech about voter apathy. Her faith in the LGBTQ community grew strong when in August of 2013, she was named an honorary chairperson of the GLSEN Respect Awards. And she received the GLAAD Vanguard Award in March earlier this year. Her activism only further legitimizes her presence in Hollywood. We have a woman of color not only smashing boundaries on network television, but also fighting for causes she believes in. On top of that, she's an incredible actress whose work we will cherish for years to come. You can see her every Thursday night on Scandal at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Back to you, Sunnie and Aiden.
Thank you, Evan. Now we at The Real Deal are very excited for this next segment, making its return for the first time of the season.
We are, of course, speaking of Man on the Street, where our intrepid reporters hit the pavement to see what others think about pop culture.
We had Ali Maberg and Chris Sieber on hand to go into the wild and see what Muncie's thinking. What did we discover, Ali and Chris?
Thanks, guys. We will be going out to the street and looking for some brave souls to test them on their Emmy knowledge.
What we'll do is we'll give our contestants buzzwords from Emmy-winning shows, and if they get more than 3 correct, they'll get a prize bigger than an Emmy itself.
Let's go. Hi.
Hi.
We are going to be testing your Emmy knowledge.
Okay.
So what we're going to be doing is giving you a few buzzwords and see if you can guess which show we're talking about.
Viola Davis, Law School, Murder, and then Bennett from Orange is the New Black. All right.
How to Get Away with Murder.
That's correct. That is correct. Very nice. Very nice. Business, entrepreneurship, Mark Cuban, and HSN.
Oh, Shark Week, or what is it?
Shark Tank. Motherhood, Children, Allison Janney, and then Anna Faris.
Orange is the New Black.
Close. Mom.
Mom.
There we go.
1960s advertising.
Mad Men.
Yes. I'm gonna say John Hamm anyways because he's attractive.
Yeah.
Blood, death, sword.
Twilight.
Close. Westeros, Stark, Red Wedding.
Iron Man.
Okay, we have Thrones of and Game, reverse order.
Games of Thrones.
Sketch comedy, female comedian, Comedy Central, and then female comedy again, comedian.
I don't know.
Oh my god, I love Amy Schumer.
There we go.
Vice President, comedy, politics, Washington, D.C., and then Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Prison, women, representation, dramedy, and then Uzo.
Orange is the New Black.
Prison, women, representation, dramedy, and then Uzo.
Orange is the New Black.
Bam! Right there. Okay. Trevor Noah, political comedy, and then Comedy Central.
I don't know.
The Daily Show. What was it?
The Daily Show.
She got it right.
1960s advertising. John Hamm.
Mad Men.
Mad Men, you are amazing. What does she get, Chris?
An M&M-y.
M&M's! Oh no, I missed him.
I can do that. It's better than the actual award show.
All right, are you guys?
Thank you, Allie and Chris, and our Man on the Street crew for putting that segment together.
We're about to go to break, but don't go anywhere because we still have our final word up next. We'll be right back.
This is Mark Watney, and I'm still alive. I have no way to contact NASA, and I'm in a hab designed to last 31 days.
And people ask me, why do you risk death? For me, this is life.
Every day across that border, people are killed with his blessing. To fit his weapon out.
If you hate Fresno so much, why'd you come back?
Obviously, because I've made a series of poor life decisions.
Sister's back, and I just let her stay at my place. Got her this job. She's still fragile.
I'm a sex addict.
That's a thing.
How many guys do you think you've been with?
Like 100.
You think you've ever been in love?
I'm not good with emotions.
My life is pretty sweet.
You're a maid in Fresno.
My sister's a liar, she's selfish, she's ungrateful, and she can't get her life together.
Did I just kill someone?
If you could have anything, what would it be? What's your dream?
A house, a dog, a woman I love, loves me.
Me too.
My name is Detective Laurel Hester. I've worked for the Ocean County Police Department for 23 years. Recently, I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. When my heterosexual colleagues die, their pensions go to their spouses. But because my partner is a woman, I don't get to do that.
It's an outrageous miscarriage of justice. Their next meeting, we show up with 100 protesters.
Radicals and strangers from New York aren't going to convince these guys.
I know you feel like
I want to tell you about our house. Just really like to hold on to it.
Remember how much we love each other.
As the temperature changes, you start to notice around you that more and more people are developing sore throats and find their allergies getting worse and worse. I always think that a warm cup of tea and a good episode of Sunny in Philadelphia, or even an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, puts me in an altogether better mood. I forget about the sickness for a few and just concentrate on the smiles and laughter that both of those shows bring to me.
With the weather getting colder for myself and people begin dropping off in your classes and return with crusted sleeves, at this time of the year when my head gets cloudy and my eyes get heavy, I find myself enjoying dark crime dramas like Breaking Bad and The Sopranos more than ever. I suppose while I'm suffering from a head cold, I like to watch people suffering the plight of organized crime. However, I also find myself enjoying Magnum P.I. and Old Hawaii Five-0 more than ever. Because of course a nuclear submarine being shored on the coast of Hawaii by Japanese radicals is a completely believable story. I'm always amused by the simplicity of old shows like that. But that wraps up our show for this week. Be sure to check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Aiden Hall.
And I'm Sunnie Clark. We'll see you next time.